For most of my life, and I'm 44 years old, so I've been around since 1976, I've always loved the band Supertramp. Loved them. There's something about their music, even I remember when I was a child, like very young, 4 or 5 years old, hearing them on the radio and just thinking, I like that, I like the sound or the tone or the tune or whatever it is. And it just gave me some sort of comfort. Of course, I had no idea back then what Supertramp was talking about or what Supertramp even meant. It sounds kind of like a dirty thing, right? But it's not. And if you go back and listen to Supertramp's music and their lyrics and really pay attention to what they were saying, in every single song they ever made, they were telling us the truth. If you even go back to the album cover of Breakfast in America, it clearly is alluding to what was going to happen on 9/11. And Breakfast in America was recorded decades before 9/11. So they were plugged into something. And 4, 5, 6 years ago, I did some research into Supertramp, and it was shoddy at best, but it was talking about connections to CIA and things like that, and I never got too deep into it. But I always knew they had a message that they really wanted us to hear, like so many other musicians throughout the last 40 or 50 years. They've said so many things to us in their music and their lyrics that didn't make sense at the time that now all of a sudden makes sense. It's pretty crazy. But when it comes to Supertramp, I've decided, and I think we need to maybe collectively decide that it's time to be a lot more bold. And if you look up the word tramp, T-R-A-M-P, on Google, you'll see that it means to walk heavily or noisily. Heavily or noisily. Tramp. Tramp around. Right? Super tramp would be like someone who decides to make tramping around, walking heavily and noisily, a lifestyle, telling the truth in every conceivable way. And that's what I think is important for those of us who feel this immense drive inside of us to change the trajectory of this current world. We need to start tramping around noisily, heavily, loudly, and not holding back anymore. We've been so conditioned over the last, 4 or 5 years with online censorship and things like that, and censorship in our job places, or even censorship in our homes when we can't talk to our spouses or whatever. We've been so conditioned to hold back what we know and what we think. And then through this entire agenda of the last year, we've all been separated from each other so that we can't tramp around noisily and loudly in the real world and tell people what's actually going on. We've been completely restricted from our ability to do that, or at least, I guess I can't say we've been restricted from it, but we've been conditioned to think we can't do it anymore. We just have to stay quiet, or we'll be censored or removed. And there's an entire video I want to make about the reach that we have online still, and how the numbers that are shown to us are all a complete lie to make us feel like we have no reach and we're not reaching anybody about anything ever. And while they do restrict what we do online, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or all of those, they of course restrict it, but then the numbers they show us and the analytics make it look like literally nobody is watching. And that's a lie, because it sometimes glitches. For example, my radio station that I started on January 14th, Revelation Free Radio, which if you go to avoidthemark.com, you can't really miss it. It's an online streaming radio station that streams 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all 365. It is filled with a lot of very relevant music and podcasts and messages and things like that. And God really led me to start that about a month ago on January 14th. And it's crazy because the analytics on it are all over the board, depending on, I guess, what AI wants to show me in what moment. Within the first week of launching the radio station, and I've had a very large audience in the last year through Beast System Revealed and all of that. My website, avoidthemark.com, still averages about 15 to 20,000 visitors a day, sometimes a lot more, sometimes less. But so there is an audience there. But I launched the radio station and it just sat there forever, for like 3 days straight, saying zero. Nobody's listening. Nobody, nothing. I'm like, this is crazy. I've got 25,000 people on my website today, and there's links to the station everywhere, and you're telling me nobody's listening. Give me a break, right? And then it was a Friday or Saturday night back in late January, the analytics tripped up and started showing me real numbers, and my jaw hit the floor when I started seeing what was really going on. And it was over 2.2 million listeners at that moment on that Friday or Saturday night. I can't remember what it was, but I was running a special show, countdown or whatever. And I was like, okay, so it just went from 0 to 2.2 million. And it was a solid number. It was 2.2 million all the way down to the last digit. And I was watching it move for a while. And then bam, it went back down to 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, and so that it stopped, and it just would cap out at 5. And then about a week later, I got my first report for average listenership throughout the course of, any given moment. And average listenership it shows me in the report it emailed me, was over 55,000, which is a really good number for a radio station, for an online, streaming radio station. I'm like, holy cow, this is awesome. And then I went to access that report within the back end of the system after receiving the email showing me the details. And it was a completely different story. So it's all nonsense. That's what I've learned. It's just all bogus. Like, AI is using these numbers and views and likes and comments and stuff like that, and these numbers as a way to code where it's characterizing certain individuals. That's what I believe. But the numbers that we're actually getting out there, and when I say we, I'm not saying just me, I'm saying all of us, everybody that's listening to me, that actively is trying to get to people, to help change this world, and you feel like you're doing nothing and reaching nobody. You are. It's just the numbers are a lie. But it keeps you from being bold. It keeps you from really striking at the core of what's going on here. Because you just feel like, number one, you're not making a difference, and number two, like, you're just afraid of being censored or taken down all the time. Or maybe at your job, you're afraid of losing your job, and you feel like you just kind of have to go along with what everybody's saying about the VA, the VC, whatever you want to call it, or putting things on your face, or it's like everybody's just going along with it because they're afraid to speak out against it because they don't see anybody else doing it. But that's all part of the concoction that's been brewed against us. So we need to start being bold. I'm telling you, what's coming in this battle, and I know it, is many thousands of insanely bold people preaching the word as it actually is, right? That's what's coming. Boldness, power, the glory of God being shown right here on earth through people who just know him and worship him and love him and know that no matter what happens, He's got our back, you know? And the more of us that there are that can be like that, the quicker this ridiculous agenda will crumble. It's about boldness. SUPERTRAMP. Just tramping around, being bold as you can be. And even if you're not a bold person, Yahweh can give that to you. He can flow it through you. I'm telling you, like 95% of the words I say, and it's true for the last year, and everything I've said in videos and podcasts and everything else, man, I don't know where it comes from. I just say, Yahweh, I am your tool, you know, and use me in any way you can to speak to somebody about something that can make a difference. I'm nobody special. I'm not even that good of a communicator. Ask my ex-girlfriend. I don't communicate that well at all. But when I put myself in a position where I want to be bold for God, he just lets that happen. You know, he leads it. So I think we need to find a new level of boldness. SUPERTRAMP around this world like the superheroes we are with the armor of Christ and destroy what's trying to destroy us. God bless.